Hello my friends, thanks for joining me for the flip through of this beautiful winter altered book journal. So I want to share with you some of the details on the cover before I get into it, but this is the actual cover of the book that I used. You can see here that I've added a doily over top of white cotton. Underneath it's a cream colored cotton actually, and underneath the cream colored cotton you can see the lines for the stitching. And then here's the back. And then this book actually was really wide. It was about to here. So what I did was I cut the cover to this size, so it would be just more of a normal size, which means I folded some of the pages in and created pockets out of them. And then we had a raw edge. So I took the raw edge and I covered it with this burlap braided rope trim. And so I have it here. I have it here on this edge, and then I have it on the inside as well. And I did that both on the front and the back, so it makes a really beautiful edge to the journal. This journal has a Scandinavian vibe to it because I do believe that the author of the book was Scandinavian. And you will notice once we get into the book pages, you'll notice that the illustrations definitely lean in that direction. I have throughout the book some pages of my eco dye prints, and you'll notice on some of the pages I added some stenciling with this awesome new stencil that I found at the thrift store actually for I think 59 or 79 cents, which is a great find. So along with the Scandinavian look of this altered book, there's also a feeling of cottagecore vibes going on. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So on this very first page, this is one of the illustrations from the actual book. And you can see she's sewing here. And these are plants, but they are actually, the images look sewn, and there's some threads here. So all of that leans into the cottagecore vibe, which I love that as well. There are a few of my gel prints in the journal. Anything that I thought looked nice and coordinated well, I went ahead and put them in here. You'll notice trim. There's going to be trim like this throughout, and then I used the rest of the jute also in the journal. So these pages were super wide, like I mentioned, so I went ahead and folded them in to make a more normal sized book, and I like how I did it because we can still see some beautiful illustrations here. This is a vintage, it's not a menu, but it's got like menu items on it from a restaurant. And then this is a tag that I made. This is a piece of eco dye with the stenciling on it. Some vintage music paper. This is vintage, I'm not even sure what this is called, but it was some sort of a collar lining to be sewn into shirts. And I liked the color, and I like that it has this really cool texture to it, so I added that. This is another vintage piece that would have gone like as a warranty card, but I covered it with pretty paper. But anyway, I thought that was fun. This is a piece of my eco dye. I have a doily in here, so pretty. It goes so nicely on the eco dye. And then I put some dangles on some of the wax threads. And then this was a piece of beautiful trim from my stash, and I just thought the colors were so pretty, and I thought it was perfect with the eco dye. And I did that on both sides. did some stenciling here on the edge. Look at the cute little bunny. This is a tag, and it's got some braille paper on it, and I added this tab so that you could see it when it was tucked in. Eco die with also some stenciling. You could take this piece here and you could alter it and make it just the way you would like it to be, and add a picture to it or add some journaling to it. See, isn't this beautiful? The illustrations, I think, are just gorgeous. These mittens are like a window into the outside. And then look at the details, like around the fireplace. Isn't it just beautiful? This is another braille piece of paper. And a map. A vintage encyclopedia with seam binding down the edge of the page. Eco die and trim. Some more of seam binding here. Coffee dyed paper with some stenciling on it. This has a leaf and a pretty yellow, not gem, but bead. This right here is a scrap of, can't think of the name, but it'll come to me. And it's from 1934, so it's almost 100 years old. These are pages from a vintage book that I had. Turned them into a tag. Here's another vintage doily. Another center of the signature and just this pretty white bead.
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Look at this beautiful image. Here is this woman. I feel like she's maybe a grandmother, and she's making him his mittens. He's sitting by the fire with his kitty cat. You can see all the beautiful details, even in her skirt and her shoes. Even right here, it looks like it's stitched. And then the wood in the background. I was just smitten with the illustrations in this book. So I took another one of these, the collar liners, turned it into a belly band, just a piece of my coffee dyed paper, and then a tag with this 100-year-old, and I want to say register paper, but I think that there's a different name for it. And then an authentic photo on here. Earlier you saw a tag with a photo, and that was also an authentic vintage photo. Lots of stenciling here. trim. See, so it's ledger paper. That's what it is. I knew it would come to me. So this is ledger paper, and it's from 1934. And my friend BB of BB's Closet Creations sent me several pages, and I'm so grateful to her for that because that's not something that I have in my stash. This is from a vintage encyclopedia, and I thought there was so much room here that you could journal on or draw a picture or whatever you wanted to do with it. And the back is clean as well. And look at these friendly little creatures together, all wrapped up in this mitten. So cute. We have a paper stencil here and some eco dye on this side with stenciling, and then this is just coffee dye with stenciling. You can see some nice big tabs that I put on some of the pages. This is an index card that I cut out of my Cricut and then just added some elements to it. Here we are at the center of this signature, and this is a piece of gel print that I did. And here we have this green leaf on this side, and then this other green leaf surrounded with gold, a gold bead, and then a stone bead. I love how all of the colors work together. There's a lot of neutrals, and I noticed in the story that it was a lot of neutrals. As you can see, this is a perfect example of that. But also along with the neutrals, there was some green. Well, here I see a lot of blue. But if you look throughout, there's a little bit more green than blue. So you'll notice that when I did any inking, I used green ink. This says, "Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you have imagined." Henry David Thoreau. So I want to go back to talking about the green. You'll also notice that all of the stenciling I did in green as well, just to give everything a coordinated look and effect. Here's the other side of, I showed you one of these earlier in the book. Well, they were originally connected to one another, but I went ahead and I took them apart because I thought it would be more effective to spread them around. There are about 3, maybe 4 pages glued together, so this is nice and sturdy. Well, friends, I hope you like this book. I really like the way that it turned out. It's a different style for me, but I really enjoyed embracing that and working mostly in the neutral palette. It was just, I don't know, I really like this project. So I'll have this listed in my Etsy shop. I appreciate you coming over and checking it out. Hopefully I'll have another one out soon. Thanks for watching. See you soon.